The following is a production of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the show. Thanks to my audio engineer, Trish, reminding me to turn my mic on. You think after about 23, 24 years of broadcasting experience, I would remember to turn my mic on, but apparently this bright sticky note that I left myself did not remind me. Why does something always happen on every one of our Twitches, from prank calls to audio to forgetting to turn the mic on? Anyway, glad to be here. My name is Dean Millard. I am head of baseball for Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, co-commissioner of UFLB, this glorious hat right here that you'll be able to get your hands on shortly. And this show is proudly presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports and broadcast live here on Twitch. Will be rebroadcast later on our YouTube channel, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, and you can catch it in its audio format just by searching wherever you find your podcast at Ultimate Franchise or Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. If you want to find the audio version, just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. Love to hear your thoughts. Whoever's tuning in, chime in on the chat board. Just along the side. Also, if you want to find out about us, you can scroll down, get the main Twitter, find out our YouTube page. You can get some merchandise. You can do all kinds of stuff. Get into our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Everything you need is right there for you on below the screen that you're watching right now. So on today's show, we're going to dive into one of the franchises in Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball with Nick Spillane, the man with Circa Sports Swingin Trout. We'll find out what the hierarchy. There's a lot of guys involved in, as you would imagine, a big resort. They're also very successful in football. Perfect regular season record this year. So we're going to talk to Nick a little bit about the franchise, fantasy sports in general. He's in Detroit, so we'll touch on some Tigers things going on. That's a franchise that has long been storied, and they went with their division that they were able to pick with a great Detroit Tiger. But a couple of news and notes from Major League Baseball. The GOAT is out again. Tough pill for the Black Bears, but you have to know this is going to happen at some point if you're drafting Jacob deGrom in fantasy baseball. He was cruising last year. He was unhittable nearly, and then he ended up on the shelf. He's going to, quote, miss significant amount of time to start the season. And that's frustrating for baseball fans. I want to see Jacob deGrom on the hill. If I'm playing him in fantasy, I'm fine that he's out. But he had dominant years. Obviously he won back-to-back Cy Youngs in 18 and 19. But then he has only pitched 12 games in the shortened season of 20. Still pretty decent numbers. Only 15 games last year before he was injured, and now he's going to miss significant time. It's a guy who's 33 years old. Obviously, the Black Bears are drafting this guy certainly to help now, hopefully whenever he gets in the lineup. But with Legends League, and I know their owner has an eye on the Legends League and Arlo Scholes, so I think Jacob deGrom taking him is still a good play. You're going to get innings out of him, hopefully at some point. You have to worry that when you take guys like that you're only getting them for quarter of the season. Hopefully it's the end half for them and they can secure a playoff spot. Also in Major League Baseball today, the Dodgers dealing A.J. Pollock for Craig Kimbrel. Now, the Arctic Eagles in UFLB have to love the Kimbrel deal. Not that Chicago wasn't a good team, but this is the Dodgers. Perennial playoff, at least wild card spot, over 100 wins last year. The Macaws actually or might see more playing time for Pollock in Chicago than he would have had in LA. And who else might be happy is the defenders. Gavin Lux could see more playing time for the Dodgers now that Pollock is gone. And maybe Lux is the guy that they're going to move all over the place a la Kiki Hernandez and what they used to do for that. All right, one more thing to tell you about. At this time next week, we'll be talking about actual games that mean stuff in the standings for UFLB. The day before that, opening day, April 7th, we will be live here on Twitch. Starting in the morning before the games, we'll go for a few hours. I think Matt Soren is going to join me, co-commissioner of UFLB. We'll try to get some GMs or owners on and have a lot of fun. We'll basically be doing a live watch along to start the season for UFLB. So really looking forward to that, and looking forward to bringing in our guest now. So let's get to that portion of the show. Nick Spillane is the GM. And I'll just get Nick's attention here, if I can. For some reason, I'm not able to get the chat open to let Nick know that we are ready. Nick, we are ready to go. As you can join us on the program. I think you got to unmute your mic.
Sounds
there
good.
We go. All right. I think we have this somewhat sorted out. Nick, how are you, man? Can you hear me, Nick? And now Nick cannot hear me. So the quest for audio there. Can you hear me, Nick?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if this works. This is an interesting system where you're using Zoom to bring a guy in, but it's raw and it's real and it's live, and it's great to have you on the show. How are things?
Yeah, no, great to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys taking some time to talk today. So glad that we get a chance to talk baseball here before opening day and all the festivities kick off in the next week or so.
First of all, I'll get your thoughts on, the big news today. Jacob deGrom injured again. This is what, we all want to see the best players on, but I said it in the intro. When you draft a guy like deGrom at this point in his career, you have to expect he's not playing a full season.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough news overall for sure. I got a few friends that are big time Mets fans, and they're all in panic mode right now. But it's a bummer for sure, just especially not only last year, but even in spring training, that you were just seeing him in routine fashion, just mowing guys down and throwing upwards of 100 with that wicked slider. So obviously it's a tough blow, but again, it's high risk, high reward, especially with any teams that are interested in him in fantasy. So sucks to see, but I mean, with that rotation with Scherzer, Walker, and all the other names, I think that they'll be okay with Bassett coming over too. So if they can weather the storm for a couple weeks or however long the period he's going to be out for, they'll be glad to have him back at the end of the season.
Yeah, you know what? If you're ever going to miss the guy, you might as well miss him at the start than at the end, especially with our league. Our league goes right through to the World Series / Score Coin Series. So, if the Mets can make the playoffs, he's going to help UFLB teams and Mets fans. So get the injuries out of the way at the start, because you don't win a title at the start, but you need those guys at the end. And most fantasy leagues obviously end weeks before the season. Ours goes all the way through. So you want those guys near the end and get all of the injury unluckiness out of the way in the early going. So what's the hierarchy with Circa Sports, Swingin Trout? You guys got a lot of personnel going on there. Are you the GM, co-GM? Does everything start at the top with Derek Stevens? Give me the lowdown on the hierarchy with you guys.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, so Derek is the top of the food chain here, being our owner, but I'm our GM and basically co-GM with Sammy Stevens as well. And that we're overseeing basically the entire operation of the Swingin Trout with working with Derek. And then we got a few other members of our team, about 5 or 6 guys that pulling together our information and evaluating different players and just working together kind of as a team. So we got obviously great ownership supporting every move that we're trying to make, and obviously putting together a plan to try and win this thing from year one. So it's pretty exciting. We're all pretty fired up for the start of the season, and can't wait to get things going.
That's I love hearing the stories about how teams are built and things like that. Are the meetings, have they been fun but also intense with some pretty strong opinions?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think each of the guys on our team, we came into the season with some players that we were looking to target. more or less with the strategy too. Obviously, taking a look at our roster, we got a lot of youth there, a lot of guys not necessarily on high contracts as well too. So putting together kind of a strategy from that perspective to then try and be able to compete that way, because again, we're just with the way the baseball is going these days, the young stars are what's taking over the face of this league. So starting with our first pick in Acuna, it was basically we want to try and emulate a kind of model like that with young talent, but then also some established players as well to kind of mix into. So, but overall, like you said, kind of strong opinions each way. But we overall were a pretty cohesive unit putting together our roster here to this point. So we're excited to make some moves here this weekend with the open market getting going and try and finalize our roster and get going from there.
Yeah, I think it's really cool with the open market now. Your scout Sammy, who did a bang up job in the top prospects, can grab some different depth players to fill out the 14 protected list, and eventually, it'll act like a true 40-man list once we get minor leagues going. So, how did you get involved with the baseball team specifically? Tell us a little bit about what you do with Circa.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so more or less, I don't actually work directly at Circa myself, but I work at one of the umbrella companies that's affiliated with Circa, the D and Golden Gate. I work at an automotive supplier here in the Metro Detroit area. So, more or less, just being involved, working at the companies myself, but just being pretty close with Sammy and Derek. Grew up with Sammy and played baseball with Sammy my whole life, basically. So more or less, both Sammy and Derek knew that I'm a big time baseball guy. I've been a huge baseball fan my whole life, playing and growing up and everything. So they just wanted to gauge my interest, given getting things set up from the football team and how successful they were this past fall, going 17-0, and they got involved with baseball. So they kind of identified me as someone to take the mantle to run things. So that was kind of how things got going, I guess, more or less. So pretty exciting for me. I've done fantasy baseball, but not anything to this magnitude. So it's been challenging for sure. Kind of just not just looking at some of the top end guys that you'd see in fantasy baseball overall, but now just identifying everybody in the majors and minors and trying to just kind of take a wide scope approach of everything. So it's been fun and challenging, but very exciting overall. It's something completely unique that I've never experienced before. Yeah,
not many people have, and you're not alone. When I first got involved in hockey ownership, I own a hockey franchise. I was overwhelmed for a little while too, and the kind of the motto with UFFS is everyone's a player. From the guy, the middle reliever to the backup to the superstar, they're all going to play a part in your franchise winning a title if that's the case, and that's the case in football and all of our sports. So it really does expand it. And then you look into the minors and the scouting, and it really is the closest thing in fantasy to running an actual major league team. And I know Derek owned a minor league team at one point, so he knows what that is like. So I'm sure he's looking at this and saying, wow, this is pretty realistic. And, how cool is that? You guys grew up together, you and Sammy. I know the Midnight Riders, their group, Seven Seas Blockchains, they grew up doing something like this. But to be able to do this as a kid with somebody, or do something that you knew as a kid to this extent, has to be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, like I said, that we grew up and played baseball together in high school and stuff, and then even still, we play in like a men's wood bat league too, just more or less kind of like a beer league. So it's like still getting active and playing, but then on top of it too, that this is my way of following MLB baseball to the fullest extent. I mean, just like I've been a huge baseball fan my whole life, and now trying to get the full experience, like you said, that this is the closest thing imaginable to running an actual franchise. So it's been pretty cool from that perspective to just try and study up on guys in different minor league systems and levels and things like that. So it's funny too. Like I find myself like late at night on like wormholes on Twitter and just following like a Padres AA prospect, and I'm just thinking like, man, I would have never expected this about 5 years ago, but here I am. So it's been fun, definitely interesting, and like you said, it's like nothing else that anybody in this league's ever experienced. So it's very, very cool, and I'm excited to be a part of it for sure.
Well, and like I try to tell everybody, it's really overwhelming at the beginning, and it takes like 3-4 months, even during the season, to kind of get your head around that. And then there's the crypto aspect, but and you have reached out and asked some questions. I want everybody to keep asking questions, because that's the way I was, and that's the only way you're going to learn. Like, I want people to get to know the rule book, but there's going to be things about the rule book that people don't understand. So don't ever feel like you're asking too many questions. That's definitely not the case. I might point you in the right direction of Brian Hernandez if it's a scouting question or something like that. But people need to ask questions, because it is a lot to take in, especially when you're trying to remember all the rules of Major League Baseball and what announcements and what roster things. So it's always good to ask questions, and always good to reach out to Matt or myself or Brian and get a definitive answer for some of that stuff. So you're based in Detroit, so tell us a little bit about Comerica Park. First of all, I've only been to 2 Major League ballparks. One was the garbage dump Metrodome with the bags on the walls, and I just couldn't believe it was an actual stadium. The new one is apparently much better. And I've been to it was AT&T Park, which is one of the nicest. Tell us about Comerica Park. Why should people make the trip to Detroit, and what should the Tigers look like this year?
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of like a little bit of a fun fact too. Just, you mentioned AT&T. So I can't think of the gentleman's name that designed AT&T, but he's also designed Comerica, I believe PNC, and then also Coors Field. Those are four similar stadiums. So they all kind of have similar backdrops with either like the city or like AT&T and PMC with like the riverfront or like anything like that, more or less like a scenic view too. So they're all kind of laid out similarly. I've only been two of those 4. I've been to PNC and obviously Comerica, being from Detroit. But overall, Comerica, like kind of one of the more underrated stadiums in MLB. I think I've been to about like 9 or 10 different stadiums across Major League Baseball. So very cool. Like I think it's one of my favorites for sure. But obviously you got like classics. Like I've been to old and new Yankee Stadium. I've been to Fenway, Wrigley. I've been to Toronto. I saw Verlander's no hitter there with the Tigers a few years back. So been all over the place. But for me, I mean, obviously I feel like at home in Detroit, but it's a really cool stadium. You got the whole Detroit city skyline and out beyond center field and right field too. And it's a great spot in the city too, because all of the stadiums where like Little Caesars Arena, Ford Field, and then Comerica Park are all within like a square mile of each other. So all very close, walkable, a lot going on in the city of Detroit. So it's pretty awesome experience for sure. Obviously this year too, the Tigers are kind of on the upswing, coming out of a rebuild period here. So I'm pretty excited, very, very fired up, kind of getting our feet wet and getting back into the race here for the Central, and hopefully getting into the playoffs for the first time in a handful of years. So very, very excited, but really can't wait for opening day here, honestly.
Yeah, I remember the Tigers when they were in the AL East. I look at this guy as a great Dodger, Kirk Gibson, but obviously a lot of people in Detroit remember him as a great Tiger. So who is your most disliked MLB franchise? Because the Tigers have bounced around a little bit as Major League Baseball has expanded. Who's your big rival that you don't like?
Honestly, I don't know if I could pin it on one of the AL Central teams. I mean, I don't really like any of them. Honestly, like growing up too, and just like all the teams I grew up with were more or less like the 2006 Tigers to then like the 2012, 2013 like AL champion Tiger teams. So basically like with the like every single year, basically it was like a different foe. Like we had the White Sox for those years with like Tomei, Jermaine Dye, and Konerko, and Brzezinski. All those guys always were thorns in our side. But then at the same thing too, like with the Twins, with Mauer and Morneau, Kubel, guys like that, they were always tough to play against. And then obviously with the Royals winning a World Series there right around the time with the Tigers kind of peaking as well. And Cleveland as well. They've obviously had their fair share of success as well. So all bitter rivals for the most part, but in general too, that there's a great period of time where the Tigers were the class of that division in the American League in the early 2010s portion of the decade. So I wouldn't say that one of them sticks out the most. I kind of don't like any of them, but at the same time too, I've gotten to watch a lot of great baseball over the years, and kind of a little bit of a lull the past 5 or 6 seasons, but now with AJ Hinch at the helm, and you got Torkelson, Green coming up here with Mize, Manning, and Skubal, and Cabrera kind of in the twilight of his career, Akil Baddoo, a lot Baez obviously being mixed into the fold here. So we got Candelario being a very underrated player as well. So like a lot of key cogs to this team, very young, looking to be hungry and take that next step, getting back into contention. So really excited. It's going to be a long grind. The White Sox look great. Twins obviously got a lot of good additions this year. Cleveland so-so, but they always have great pitching. And then Kansas City, same path as the Tigers. A lot of young studs on the rise here too. So it's going to be a dogfight of a division for sure for the years to come.
Well, Kimbrel helps the Tigers going to LA, so that's a good thing. I like Tyler Skubal. I think that there's some promise right there. When's the last time do you think Miguel Cabrera paid for a meal in Detroit?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, the guy is literally the greatest baseball player I've ever seen. Honestly, like the amount of clutch hits and home runs and just the purest swing that you'll ever see from the right hand side. I mean, the guy is not human. I mean, like even myself, I have friends that always joke with me. Like I'll just be chilling on my couch watching like 2012 Miguel Cabrera highlights and just flipping the ball the other way with ease, just going 10 rows up in the seats. It's unbelievable. The guy is one of the greatest players to ever play. I mean, like just one specific moment, I mean, that sticks out to me is with Cabrera, like in the 2012 or 2013 season, basically hitting a home run off of Mariano Rivera dead center in the top of the 9th inning at Yankee Stadium, basically being on one leg, just like with ease. Like the guy is just like inhuman. And then the very next day doing the same thing, hitting a homer off of him in the 9th inning again. It's like, just more or less, there's a lot of Tigers fans now that they see the contract he's got, and more or less they're like, okay, this guy's done. But realistically, you're never really going to see another player like him in your lifetime. He's one of the best there is. And it's just crazy looking at all the milestones and accomplishments that he's had, and getting close to 3,000 hits here soon. Yep. And then on top of it too, I saw something where a guy with 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, and there's some other stat that basically puts him in a category with only Hank Aaron and Albert Pujols as the only players to ever to accomplish it. So I mean, the guy is just top of the line, one of the best there is. So Tigers fans love him here. Everyone's a fan of Miggy for the most part, but he's just an absolute stud.
That's amazing, especially that two of those guys you just mentioned, we have got to watch in their prime. I mean, I wasn't around to watch Hank Aaron in his prime, and there's been great baseball eras that I would love to have watched, but I like the era that we're in watching some of these guys. So I absolutely love it. Okay. So you played baseball growing up with Sammy. You guys are now running fantasy. How long have you played fantasy baseball for?
Honestly, probably about like 7 or 8 years, honestly, more or less competitively with a lot of friends growing up from playing baseball and stuff like that. But truly nothing ever to this magnitude, but more or less just in like standard like ESPN or Yahoo formats, fantasy baseball, like 12 or 14 man leagues, things like that. But yeah, this is a whole different animal. So it's been an even bigger step and bigger challenge. So it's been good because just in general, I'm a big baseball fan as is. So it's ratcheting things up and getting to know not just the top end players in baseball. Now it's everyone at every level of the minor league system, Major League Baseball, and now like looking at high school and college players as well. So it's like I said, it's something I've never experienced. So it's been a big step up for sure.
Do you have a favorite stat, like for fantasy baseball, like, like real baseball? I loved stolen bases. I loved the teams of the 80s. even the Cardinals and teams like that. The Pirates had some speed at times too. Do you have a favorite fantasy baseball stat though?
I don't know. I don't know if I would say that I have anything that's my favorite, but I mean, just in general, that just looking at guys with high OPS or any basically looking at like advanced stats that not necessarily in a fantasy column per se for points perspective, but looking at weighted runs created plus or OPS plus, different advanced metrics too. It's fun to kind of study and see where you can get value from guys that maybe not necessarily like home runs, RBIs, like very basic stats too, that where you can get some other value and see how truly good some players are and where you can find value at other aspects. So it's been very, very, very interesting and kind of looking at things analytically too. So I don't know if I would say I got a favorite stat, but more or less trying to compile as many numbers and different things as I can to try and see if we can put together a good squad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as this league, as we've seen, and, I've been involved in hockey for 3 years, this is our third year now, and things evolve and change. And, the league is basically in the owner's hands now to mold, and, certain major platform things stay the same, but categories and changes like that'll be all up to the owners to see it. I'm really curious to see if any advanced metrics statistics start to creep their way in. I'm I grew up with batting average being one of the best stats. If you had a 300 batting average, you're probably going to the Hall of Fame, and so many people don't consider batting average a true measure. I think OPS is a great stat, but there's so many other ones that people can look at, and it does make it fun. You can go as deep as you want. I think you should use the eye test, and you should use some statistical information to make judgments about players. I don't think you should go all on one way or all on the other way, but OPS I think is one of the better stats that people can look at. And we're kind of looking at your roster here now. First of all, I really thought Circa Sports Swingin Trout was going to take Mike Trout in the draft. How close, if at all, did you guys come to Trout taking Trout?
I mean, we definitely talked about it. I wouldn't say that was off the table just with the namesake, but obviously it was too appealing looking at Acuna just with the age contract, his skill set, and just knowing that he's going to be a staple for the Braves for a good period of time. So not to say that it wasn't on the table for sure. I mean, Mike Trout is arguably the best player in the history of MLB. So it was definitely under consideration with a lot of other names, but we viewed Acuna, given where we're picking and everything like that, as the top guy, and we're very, very happy to get him where we were selected for sure.
Well, yeah, I don't think you I don't think you made a mistake at all, other than making it sound really cool that the Trout was taking Trout. But when you look at this league and long term, how do you not go? And this is a guy who, it sucks that he didn't play last year, but that's going to save him down the road. And I think that was a dynamite choice to make. I just thought, I'm a media guy, right? I'm always looking for the better story, and Trout taking Trout was certainly a better headline, but you can't really go wrong. Let's talk a little bit about your franchise and your lineup as we're, I'll make sure I have it up here. Yeah, we do have it up there. I love Jesse Winker. I've had him in fantasy. Joe Davis tells a really funny story. I watch a lot of Dodgers game, and he tells a story about Jesse Winker showing up for the first time and said, introducing him, saying Winker hits home runs and Winker hits home runs, talking in third person. And he does. I thought if he could have stayed healthy, he might have made a run at the MVP last year. So I think Winker is great. I think Brian Reynolds is another terrific. You look at your outfield, it's a pretty dynamite outfield.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously going with some of our top picks. I was very fired up to get Brian Reynolds. He's just a true top 15, 20 player in baseball, and where we got him, not only just salary and statistically, but filling a center field position for us. It was an absolute steal. And then, like you said, Jesse Winker, a guy that's just got light tower power. I'm very curious to see how he does in Seattle. I mean, he's going to be in a lot better lineup, maybe not the best park considering with Great American Ballpark, but overall, I mean, like you said, the guy hits absolute tanks. So we're very excited about the outfield for the Swingin Trout. So that's definitely a staple for us. But even still, we had Bobby Witt as our first selection, basically in the prospects draft. We're banking on him having a similar profile to Mike Trout. I mean, if you look at the guys side by side, they both have very similar swings, short, compact, right to the baseball. Big time upside from him. Torkelson as well, another big time prospect up and coming here, hopefully cracking the opening day lineup with the Tigers. We obviously had Rendon, a guy that has mashed throughout his career, a little bit of a slow start in Los Angeles, but hoping that he gets a big bounce back here and gets back to the middle of the order cog with that lineup of Ohtani, Trout, Upton, Adele, Marsh, all those guys.
Crazy.
Yeah, so we took a lot of very safe and calculated risks, I would say, for the most part. I mean, we got Nelson Cruz very late in the draft. I mean, obviously he's only limited to that DH utility position, but I mean, the guy is 40 years old and hitting 30 bombs a year for the past decade. I mean, as a Tigers fan, he's been one of the biggest thorns in my side watching the Rangers, even on the Orioles or the Twins. I mean, he's been everywhere and he's always killed the Tigers. So, I mean, for me, knowing and seeing it firsthand, I was happy to get him in our lineup as an established bat. So we got a lot of different options in our lineup for sure. Madrigal is a guy, table setter that we really, really like. So overall, there's a lot of options for sure. We're really, really excited with all the picks that we have. A lot of youth, good contracts, guys that can mash. It's exactly what we want. And even our last pick of the draft was Hishioka from the Yankees, and he's one of the best hitters in spring training right now. So we might have got a steal there too. So we're definitely excited, and obviously too, Rutschman, whenever he's ready to go, he'll be our catcher of the future. So we're very, very excited.
Yeah, you guys have a really good balance, and a guy like Nelson Cruz, getting him late, even if he cuts down the strikeouts a little bit, his points are going to increase. And that's the one thing that you have to weigh when you take some of these guys is, how many negative points are those strikeouts going to cost you? But I think that lineup, 1 through 9 has, as you just mentioned, your catcher is one of the best in spring training. What about on the other end, on the bump? Tell us a little bit about pitching. You guys certainly have a lot more depth when it comes to pitching than you do in the lineup. Kevin Kiermaier, I think, is your only spare guy right now, and obviously that can change as the open market. But let's take a look at the top of the order and the roster. I'm a believer in Eovaldi, but tell me about what you like about your pitching staff.
Yeah, just like you mentioned off the top, Eovaldi was one pitcher that I really liked myself. Just an absolute workhorse. Obviously, he's had some injuries in the past, but just seeing what he did in the World Series for the Red Sox a couple of years ago, and he's a guy throws heat. He's a workhorse. He's in a contract year too, so definitely excited about him, seeing what he puts out here this season. But like you mentioned, a lot of depth, a lot of youth in that rotation with Lauer. Patrick Sandoval, Austin Gomber is another name that we really liked, but also too with Urquidy, and we have a little bit of a veteran presence there too with Odorizzi as well in our rotation. But getting a few other guys too, like Dilson Lamet in that most recent trade, and Tyler Alexander, guys with both starting and relieving profiles that we really, really like. But then in the back end too, we got Gregory Soto, closer for the Tigers. Barlow for the Rangers, guys that can rack up saves, and then just a lot of depth overall, basically, that we really liked. And obviously now we're trying to get in the process too of getting Hunter Green added to our roster here soon, just knowing that he's going to be in the opening day rotation for the Reds. So we really like where our pitching is going. A lot of guys with youth coming up here. So like a whole theme of our team, we got a lot of young guys, staples of our roster for years to come. So we're excited about it. And just overall, I think the offensive production will be there, and that's a heavy part of this league. But having guys that can eat innings and go every fifth day is going to be very, very key. So we're excited about that for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned guys that, Ross Stripling is another one of those guys that can go from the bullpen to the starting rotation. And that's really important, as is multiple position guys in the lineup. And Lurie Garcia, like, I don't know if there's a position he doesn't play. Maybe
right.
Third base. I don't think he plays. Yeah. Oh no, he does play third base. First base is really the only first base and catcher is where he doesn't qualify. Those guys are so important because games played in a points format, not a head-to-head format. That's your currency. The more games you can get out of your players, the more possible points you have. So the versatility with players is so huge.
Oh, absolutely. And that was one key. We just looking at Lurie Garcia, just trying to find at least one guy that can just be a plug and play player that's going to be all over the diamond for us. So that was huge value for us. And then obviously too, like even in our outfield, knowing at some point we're going to see Acuna get some center field reps. So that'll get him some being interchangeable. Right now, Torkelson having first and third base eligibility too is very, very big. So like you said, the versatility, making sure that we have guys that even on off days that we can feel that full lineup. And like you said, it's a currency to have guys playing every day. So for us, we definitely try to get some versatility for sure. But pitching wise, like you said, it's like having Stripling, Lamet, Alexander, guys that we can slot as relievers, but hey, maybe if depending on starts that we can throw those guys in the rotation too, and just try and get the most points as possible. So it's like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint as it comes to a points league that's not head to head. So we're looking at that strategy for sure.
Have you sized up your division? You guys obviously are in I think an exceptional spot where you were able to pick what division you wanted to play in. So I think that was kind of cool. And you guys ended up taking the Alkaline division, obviously just a legend. Like this guy, if people don't know, was a great player. Then he became one of the best broadcasters. Like he was Mr. Tiger. You're Swingin Trout in the Alkaline division. Have you sized up the competition yet?
Yeah, I mean, we've been evaluating all rosters and all of our competition. Obviously, the division, like you said, it's a pretty good place to be. We got our pick there, but more or less, not trying to give too much away. But overall, we're evaluating everybody interdivision as well as all throughout the league. So we're excited. I mean, there's a lot of great rosters out there. A lot of people that you can see going win now. A lot of people that are going with a long play as well too. So everyone's got a different strategy. There's a lot of different things to consider. So we're definitely not opposed to either making any moves too, where we're talking with other teams on players, not only on our active roster, but in our scouting pool as well. So we're definitely evaluating all options, and we're never turning away from making our team better either. So but just getting to your point about Al Kaline, like you said, Mr. Tiger, I mean, the guy is, he was a legend in the city of Detroit, well respected and revered by all the people of the state of Michigan. So had to honor him in some way and pay homage to a legend of Detroit for sure.
All right, just want to say hi to Simzone, UFAFL, hey UFF, hey Dean, Nick TVIP, great show. Like always, keep up the great work. Go Panthers. He's the affiliated scout for the Panthers. So it's going to be fun getting to know everybody in the league as well. I know, we're going to be in Vegas in April for the college football draft that we're having, franchise auction rather, that we're having. And hopefully some baseball guys can get out there and we can have some mini meetings, get to know, meet face to face, but just getting to know everybody. I know from our hockey experience, it's been a lot of fun to get to know all the different people that are behind the scenes and working on deals. And, you'll find teams, as I have in hockey, that, you make deals with a lot easier. And then you're going to find teams that you just don't even like dealing with. There's going to be natural rivalries, and that's going to be fun, just like it is in Major League Baseball. Quickly, who was your favorite player growing up, and who's a non-Tiger that you like to watch today?
That's two good questions. I mean, for me, like my favorite player growing up probably was Maglio Ordonez, coming on that 06 Tigers team. Obviously, like the legendary home run to get the Tigers to the World Series in 06. I mean, that's an iconic moment for anybody here in Detroit. But I mean, for me growing up, watching Justin Verlander too on every 5 days, one of the greatest pitchers ever. And still hopefully maybe next year he's in a Tigers uniform. We'll see, to finish his career. But Pedro Martinez, Felix Hernandez, Pudge Rodriguez. I mean, there's a lot. Miguel Cabrera, obviously, I talked about him at length at the beginning, but just a lot of great players that I loved watching growing up, and still just so many great players in today's game that I really love to watch. As far as somebody that I really love to watch today, honestly, it kind of is Ronald Acuna. I mean, the guy, him and I would say my other would be like Manny Machado. Both of them play with a lot of swag. Both of them kind of get a little bit of criticism for being a little too flashy at times, but I think in general, just a few guys that just open your eyes and make you just say, wow, at like watching what they do on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, you can name a ton of different guys, like with Mike Trout, Ohtani, deGrom. I mean, there's so many players around Major League Baseball that are just absolutely incredible. And it's a really great place to be watching baseball right now. I'm excited that everything has kind of cleared up with the lockout and things, and we're getting baseball right around opening day. And it's exciting. So I'm really, really excited for the season.
Simzone UFAFL says Damian Easley is a player. And listen, I'm a Dodgers fan, so I get to watch Mookie Betts a lot when he's healthy. He's an exciting player. There are so many good players. And as far as guys getting flack for being, maybe too much flash, let's all take a message from Crash Davis.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
Always be cocky and arrogant. Crash Davis said it best in Boulder, and be cocky and arrogant. Okay, going to put you on the spot. Cy Young winners from the AL, Cy Young winner from the NL this year. Remember, pitchers don't have to hit, so nobody's going to get hurt at the plate. So who do you like for the two Cy Youngs in the leagues?
That's tough. I would say National League. I'm a huge fan, just going to your Dodgers, of Walker Buehler. I mean, I think he has been a stud in all aspects. I mean, coming out of Vanderbilt, and he's just dominated basically in every game that he's pitched in the majors for the Dodgers. So he's a guy that I really, really like. Would love him on the Trout, but I digress. But he's a guy that I really, really like. In the American League, I mean, it's tough. I think that there's a lot of great arms overall in the American League, but I'm gonna, barring health and everything like that, I think that it could be Ohtani this year. I think that he could really that he could do it this year. As far as Cy Young, I think that the guy is just an absolute freak. But I mean, overall, that there's just in both leagues in general, there's so much great pitching, and it really is crazy. I mean, who knows? You could see a guy like Max Scherzer, another former Tiger, that go into the Mets. Now, knowing that deGrom's going to be out, he's going to have to put the team on his back, and he can go out and be a stud. Or same thing too, you could see like a guy like Verlander have a bounce back season coming off injury with Houston or in the American League. So there's so many great arms, both leagugues. But I mean, those are just a few guys that I would identify. So I'll always pull for former and current Tigers. So that'll be my answer, I guess.
You met, like, Ohtani was the MVP. A lot of people in Canada thought Vlad should have won it. I thought Vlad had a great season, but Ohtani was Ohtani last year. It was incredible, and the Reapers paid a lot of money so they could get Ohtani, and it worked out for them. Imagine if he wins the MVP last year and the Cy Young this year, which, if he has another, like, that is two of the most incredible seasons in a row ever, if that happens.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned too, just talking about Vlad, I mean, the guy just absolutely rakes. He's one of the greatest hitters I think I've ever seen live. He's incredible, but like you said, it's just seeing what Shohei did this past season. I mean, he's a unicorn. There's nothing that we've ever seen like him. He's truly one of a kind. So, I mean, I got to see him. He made one start at Comerica last year, and he threw like 8 innings and just absolutely masterful. So the guy has everything in his bank. So he's a fantastic ball player. I mean, I would love to see him continue to be healthy and just show what he can do. I mean, he's a fantastic pitcher. Big guy, throws hard, hits the ball a mile. I mean, he's fast. He's everything that you want to see in a baseball player. So he's worth the price of admission for sure. I mean, And even still too, I just talking about another guy that I love to watch, like Juan Soto with the Nationals. I mean, he's the closest thing that we have to modern day Barry Bonds, mostly with his on base and OPS. So overall, we're in a really great state for baseball right now. So it's a great place to be in for sure.
Yeah, I really want Ohtani to stay healthy because it's a great story for baseball. Like there is an obvious risk when you're putting that much strain on your body, but his swing is effortless. Like it doesn't even look like he's trying, and he just mashes the ball. So I hope for baseball's sake, because, you know, coming out of a lockout, they need more positivity going on, and we need to get more people watching baseball again. It might be the American pastime, but, you know, you look in July and August and there's a lot of empty stadiums. So more good stories like Ohtani will be good. All right. Final question. A week from yesterday, opening day, we're going to be live on Twitch. How will you spend opening day?
Honestly, I mean, like aside from working, I mean, I'm probably going to get home, crack a couple beers, and just throw on MLB Network and just be watching all day long, catching the live stream as well too, and just more or less just celebrating. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge baseball fan, and with my affiliation here too with the Swingin Trout, it's going to be a long summer, and I'm excited for just getting back into everyday wall-to-wall baseball. So I'm very, very excited. Cannot wait for it to get here. Honestly, there's just so many storylines just going on in Major League Baseball now, on top of it too, with the added element for fantasy, that I'm just really, really excited to get going here, to just be following baseball every day. And it's fantastic. So it's my favorite time of year. I love baseball season. Like I said, I'm elated. So I'm excited for next week for sure.
Me as well. Nick, thanks so much for spending some time with me today. This has been a lot of fun getting to know you. I hope someday we can have a drink, either maybe at Comerica Park or at Circa next April. We'll see. But it's been great to catch up and find out a little bit about Circa Sports Swingin Trout. Best of luck to you guys this year. Don't ever be afraid about reaching out and asking a question. That's what Matt and Brian and I are here for. Thank you so much for joining me today, and enjoy the weekend and the baseball season.
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate your time today too, having me on the show. I mean, just in general too, just to get this out there, you guys are putting in so much effort on your side. So you, Brian, Matt, and everybody affiliated with this platform. So we're really appreciative from the Circa team. So we're excited for the season. We're thankful for everything you guys are doing. So like you said, hopefully, whether it's out in Vegas or sometime at Comerica or wherever, that we can grab a drink and watch some baseball. So I'm definitely excited, and hope to see you sometime soon.
Perfect. Appreciate the kind words. Thanks very much, Nick. Take care.
Awesome. You as well. Take care.
There is Nick Spillane with the Circa Sports Swingin Trout. It's a pretty impressive team. I mean, when you look at that lineup, it's pretty dominant. You know, and their football team, pretty dominant as well. I expected nothing less of them. It's going to be fun. And they have a ton of studs along the way. And they might get even more in the next little while in the open market. So that was fun. I love that. I'm hoping to get to know everybody and get every GM, manager, scout, as we go over time on this show, and get to know everybody. And let everybody get to know you. So thanks to Nick. Check out Circa Sports Trout if you haven't. And you can check out all of our lineups. You just go to UFFsports.com, click on baseball, and then hit the league. And you can see the standings and check out each of the team rosters. All right, that is just going to about wrap things up for us on the program. I do want to let you know, though, if you want to get in touch with us, certainly there are a number of ways that you can do that. You can reach us right there, the UFLB on Twitter. You can also get us UFLB_scouting and the LLB_ for Legends League. Matt Soren heading that up. Info UFLB at UFFsports.com. If you want to send an email, we can send you some information. If you'd like to get your show on the network, it's pretty simple. It is UFSN at UFFsports.com. That's how you can email us. And the websites you need to know, UFFsports.com, general overview of the league, And ultimatesportsnfts.com is where you can find all the great sports NFTs that you will want to get your hands on. Some cool stuff coming in the next little while for that, for sure. And yeah, it's going to be so much fun as we go here on UFF Sports and this live Twitch channel. Reminder that the open market for you scouts starts tomorrow. Make sure you hit up Brian Hernandez for any details that you need. Find out when he's going to be processing them, all that stuff. He is your man. He will get to it as fast as he can. If you start typing in a name and it appears in a drop-down menu, that means that player has already been added to the system. There are some players that have been added. Most of the players, though, you will have to register with the information, and we've certainly sent out a lot of news on that. We're gonna have news next week on the Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball entry auction. The dates, we know now that the Major League Baseball draft will be held during the All-Star Game, so we'll give you the details on when the UFLB entry auction is. You can find out how that all works. Just check out the rule book. All the details are in there. Roster move announcements start on Monday as well. That means you have to start announcing your call-ups, your 5 per week, or if you're moving a guy to IL, or if you're sending a guy down, whether they have options, whether they're going through waivers, if you're releasing a guy. All of that information was emailed out to owners and GMs today. It's also in the owners chat. In the roster moves chat, you can find out all the different roster moves that you need to make an example. So there should be zero excuse. We have provided a lot of information for everybody. We're going to try to help people and work with everybody as we go, but that's what you've had the first couple of weeks to get used to it during spring training. Make sure you know the roster moves so you don't get fined. We don't want to be a bunch of Allen Iversons. We're not here, is it Richard Sherman? The guy who did not want to get fined. It was the former Seahawk player. I can't remember the exact name. I don't think it was Richard Sherman. It was the Skittles guy. Name escapes me right now. Somebody will get it on the message board at some point and let me know. But we don't want to be here to get fined. We all, you all want to avoid fines because the fine pool gets split up from teams that do not get fined. So make sure you're up to date on all the roster moves that you need to make and that you need to announce so you don't get fined in that sort of stuff. And as always, as I said rather earlier, we will be live on opening day next Thursday. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to go for a few hours watching. Well, we won't be watching the games live on Twitch, but we will be watching the games on the TVs that are in front of me. And then we'll be chatting about them, whether they have fantasy relevance or not. So that is going to wrap things up for us on this program today, Inside UFLB. It is not UFHR. I just didn't have a chance to, couldn't figure out how to change it. Still learning the Twitch, and it's still very much raw and real as we go inside UFLB. This is obviously part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network and our live Twitch channel. You can find the replay of this show on our YouTube channel, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, and you can find it in its audio format wherever you find podcasts. Just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, and you can find it. It'll be up very shortly later today. If you would like to get your show on UFSN and join us, possibly here live on Twitch, it's simple. Hit us up, UFSN at UFFsports.com. That's UFSN at UFFsports.com. You can also get on Twitter at UFS Network, and you can get in touch with us. And maybe you'll be joining us on the show. One more piece of advice from Crash Davis.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
Yes, even when you're getting beat. And next Thursday, for real, this is what we will hear.
Play ball!
We will hear play ball for real. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned into the program today. Big thanks to Nick for joining me on the show and helping us out to get to know Circa Sports Swingin Trout. My name is Dean Millard. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.